What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Vince Rashad, and I wanted to take a quick minute to look at a few photos and talk about this recent retirement of a legend in the game of basketball, and that is one Tim Duncan. But I'm gonna talk about more than just the man himself and his accomplishments. I think that Tim Duncan is one of the best three power forwards in the history of the game. I think you can debate whether it's him, Bill Russell, or Kevin McHale. I don't think too many others. Maybe Karl Malone. You can without a doubt throw the mailman Karl Malone in there. But Tim Duncan, he's one of the best power forwards ever, period. That's, anybody that tries to argue that with you does not have a clue what they're talking about. Tim Duncan came into the league in 1999. Basically, he began a duo with Hall of Famer David Robinson. They were called the Twin Towers. They were one of the only two teams that had two all-star centers pretty much in the starting lineup. They won a championship early. I think within the first couple years that within the first year or two. I think in Tim Duncan's rookie year, he won that championship. He may have been in the league a couple years, but it didn't take him that long before he won a championship. And he went on to win 4 more championships. Tim Duncan has 1 less championship than Michael Jordan. And he's gotten nowhere near the press. And that's what I wanted to talk about. The absolute invisibilizing of good, quality, solid, upstanding, civilized and decent black men. At how throughout Tim Duncan's entire career, he's never been given a lot of credit for just being a good guy. And a lot of people say, well, you're supposed to be good. Don't be a lawbreaker. Pay your taxes. Don't break in people's houses, and, don't play your music too loud in a residential neighborhood. Why should Tim Duncan get so much credit for doing what he's supposed to do? And, I would agree with people who say that. But you have to look at the amount of press that people who are not doing what they're supposed to do get. How many times do we see thug niggas all in the news? The entire black race, specifically the black man, black woman too, is literally defined by the worst of the worst, from among us. It's the worst of the worst who define us. And Tim Duncan is the epitome of a classy, upstanding, upper class, well-spoken, just good all-around player. Tim Duncan has never, ever, ever been in the news for nothing negative. He's always done the right thing. He's always been a team player. As far as his basketball career and the way he played the game, Shaquille O'Neal called him the big fundamental. He's very fundamental. He makes that extra pass. He knows how to hit that 10-foot jump shot off the backboard. He can throw up a hook shot. Later in his career, he became a good free throw shooter. He averaged about 22 points a game. I think his career average is going to be somewhere between 22 points, about 10, 11, 12 rebounds a night. A couple years, he pretty much got the player of the year award. The defensive player of the year award. Tim Duncan is just an all-around solid quality guy. And the last time he won a championship, he literally won the championship on Father's Day. I remember him, kissing and, hugging with his children. And it's just a damn shame at how little press coverage that Tim Duncan got. It's absolutely incredible the way in which, Tim Duncan was basically invisibilized throughout much of his career. He was completely invisibilized. Tim Duncan wasn't much talked about. you wouldn't even know that Tim Duncan won as many championships as he did. You wouldn't know that he was the player that he was. You know, so much credit was given to Michael Jordan, and don't get me wrong, Michael Jordan deserves all the credit that he got. But you just can't, you just can't sleep on Tim Duncan. You just can't. The dude is going to be a legend. He's going to go down as one of the best players ever at his position, and he's just a good person, man. Tim Duncan, you just can't say too much negative about Tim Duncan. Born in the Virgin Islands. He went to college, and Tim Duncan is one of the last players who did 4 entire years of college. He didn't leave early. He came from a pretty good family, actually, in the Caribbean. He came from a good family, and he went to Wake Forest. I don't think he won a championship there, but you see right there, he's holding the trophy with the 5 up, 5 championships. This is my 5th one. There you go, looking crazy, and I think this picture right here pretty much personifies and tells the entire story of who he is. But shout out to Tim Duncan. I really don't think there's going to be too many more players like him in the future. Maybe Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant kind of comes off like the Tim Duncan-ish type guy, but he doesn't have the championships yet. That's the only thing Kevin Durant is lacking. He's got the Tim Duncan character, but he doesn't have the championships yet. But good all around players. Rebounder, shot blocker. He could offensively, hook shot, jump shot, alley-oop. Tim Duncan could do it all, man. It's gonna be quite a while before there's another player like Tim Duncan. And I just want to give him the props that he deserves, because so many people who are not like Tim Duncan just totally and completely don't get the credit. I mean, all the people out there, the goons and the thug athletes out there that are always in your news and, impregnating 1,001 strippers and just doing stupid shit, smoking weed and all that shit. You've just never gotten that from Tim Duncan. And I think that at the very least, for going 20 straight seasons, and staying out of trouble and being nothing but the role model that society expects you to be, he deserves that credit. And there's nothing wrong with giving Tim Duncan that credit. But hopefully the rest of his life is all to the good. I know he's gonna enjoy life down there in the Virgin Islands, where he's from. I don't know if he's got remarried or if he's got another woman or whatever. But I wish nothing but the best for Tim Duncan, and I hope nothing but the best for him. The man deserves his credit. And shout out to the Invisible Man one last time, Tim Duncan. It's your boy Vince Rashad. I'm up out of here, man.